Borderlands is quite a unique series. Borderlands was one of the first, if not the first, looter game series, but I would argue that no other game has done it better than this. The overall story, the gameplay, the characters, almost everything is perfect. And I do mean almost, because a lot is mostly bad. But today, we take a look back at one of my personal favorites. This is Borderlands. If you watch any trailer of any of these games, you will see that there's like a billion guns. There's like a couple hundred, but each weapon has different parts on the gun that slightly change different things about the weapon, like the barrel or the stock or parts of guns. I'm a giant dipshit, so I don't know, and I tried to look it up on what it changes and shit. But the weapon parts thing I found on Reddit was way too long and way too complicated for me to explain it all. Different things happen differently. The reload speed will change, the damage will increase or decrease, magazine size. So technically you can find the same gun twice at the same level, but the stats will be slightly. Just like in most, if not all RPGs, you have weapon rarities as well. White is common, green is uncommon, and so on and so forth. With orange being legendary, which is, I would assume, the best guns. I didn't find a lot of guns, as we'll talk about later on. I didn't find a lot of legendaries. But the cool thing about it is that enemies, random mob guys, can just spawn with legendary guns, and you kill them, and they'll drop their weapon. If they drop a weapon, they'll drop the one you do use, which is cool. That doesn't happen in other games, just in this series. I don't know about other games in general, but that's something I also like, is that enemies will drop the gun that they use and not some random bullshit. So that's kind of cool. So if you ever see a guy that has a legendary weapon and you know what those are, just kill that guy and maybe he'll drop his gun and maybe you could just slaughter everyone else with it. Just like most video games, there is elemental weapons. There's 4 different elements in this game: fire, shock, explosion, and corrosion. And each element is good for different things, as in most video games as well. Fire just absolutely destroys flesh, shock breaks most shields, and anything hit with corrosion will take less damage over time with the next couple attacks. I feel like explosion is kind of, we all know what explosion does. It explodes things, but not really. It just causes an explosion. The damage text is different color. So I don't really know what explosion does. It's kind of cool though when you're shooting people with an explosion sniper rifle or explosion revolver, and that's just kind of stupid and kind of fun. If for whatever reason you also wanted to punch things so hard that it explodes, you can also find these relic things. Some enemies could drop these relics on the ground. You just unlock them I don't know, you press the button and it says, okay, you can use it now. And it will change your action skill to whatever element you want. So let's say you're playing Roland and you throw down the turret thing and you want it to do shock damage, just put on the shock one. Or if you're Brick and you want to punch shit and explode shit, just put on the explosion one, and there you go. That's kind of a neat thing. That is kind of fun. Just like in most RPGs, as you progress through the story, you level up. And just like as you level up, you can unlock skill points. Whoa, this is just like every other game. Yes, I know. There may be only 4 classes in this game, but there's plenty of variety. There may be only 4 classes in this game, but there is a lot of Yes, there is only 4 classes in this game, but there's a lot of variety in them. I played Roland in my first playthrough for this video. Newsflash, Roland kind of sucks. And at first, I found a really good shotgun. So for the first half of the game, I went shotgun build. But about midway through, I found a really good assault rifle and switched the build on a dime to more of a combat rifle build. You could do this again with Mordecai, as he is great with snipers, but also revolvers. There's so much variety within these characters that there's no real one way to play. As well as you go along with the different weapons and different things, you level up your proficiencies with them as well. As I said, in the first half, I played with shotguns, so I leveled up my shotgun proficiency. Words are difficult, I know. As you level up your proficiencies with guns, slightly more damage, slightly more reload speed, and other little increases in the stats. It's kind of cool. I don't really see any other games do this, and I really enjoyed this system, as each little proficiency is tied to your character, not your accounts or your profile. So upon a new playthrough, you start off at level 1 with all proficiencies again, and I kind of like how it's not based on your profile. I kind of like that because it makes it too easy once you're later on. But once you hit max level of 69, nice. It's kind of balanced. It's kind of balanced, I would say. But in Borderlands, it basically makes you do them. You see, each story quest has a certain level where it spawns enemies in. The game basically railroads you into doing these side quests, because if you don't, you're gonna have a bad time. Some of them definitely have interesting things to do and cool backstories. Like, for example, one of my favorites. Early on in the game, you meet two characters, TK Baja and Scooter. Scooter is the guy who spawns vehicles in, and TK Baja is this cool guy with a Hawaiian shirt. Well, later in the game, Scooter gives you a mission to go check on TK Baja, and oh my goodness! I don't know how to respond to this, so let's quickly just move on. One of the first things, if not the first thing you notice about a game, is the graphics. Yes, the graphical style is shell-shaded, and as you can see, in my opinion, it looks alright. The starting area is just kind of gray. It's kind of gray over there, and there's nothing really, interesting about it. It's just gray with a bunch of rocks, and, the enemies are kind of just the bland, basic starter enemies. So it's kind of not a fun starting area, and you're here for a fucking while. You're here for a good minute. But as you progress through the story, you see more maps, you see more gray. But in like the later maps, you kind of see it. You see a couple whites over there, and some blue. Maybe there's a little green sprinkled in there. The graphics in this game don't really hold up to 2023, but I still love it. I still love how the art style looks. I love how the characters are designed. My bias is kind of showing. Yes, I know, because I absolutely love this game and this series. But this first entry doesn't look terrible. I've seen worse things. I have seen worse things. There is a lot of different enemy types as well. You have your normal shooting guys. You have your melee psycho guys, the flaming melee psycho guys. Some dog things over there. There's some flying fuckers up there in the sky. There's like mutated psycho guys and badasses over there. That's what they're called. That's what the game refers them to, not I. But they're pretty cool, and each enemy is annoying in themselves. As I've talked about before, the leveling system, if you're like 3 levels under an enemy's level, you're going to have a bad time. There will be like a little skull beside their name. This means you do less damage, you take more damage, and it really affects the bosses. So do this. It all circles back. It's all full circle. Do the side quests, kill the guys. Do the side quests, complete the story, kill the guys. Yeah, that's it. That's all I have about the enemies and the bosses. There's no really good bosses in here, I don't think. The final boss is a fucking joke. Each boss I died about 15 times each, because I also am bad at most things I do. I am terrible at most things. So maybe if you're good at this game, they're kind of cool. Most bosses, there wasn't any like farming spots really, which is kind of like a staple in later games in this series. I'm referring to later games, and just in this series, I don't know about any other like RPGs. I'm not really, but there's no, like, I know in like Borderlands 2 and 3, there's like certain dedicated drops. I'm not really knowledgeable about Borderlands 1. I didn't start with Borderlands 1. Started with Borderlands 2. But definitely not that many good farming spots. At least I don't know. The game doesn't really tell you. You just gotta know. But yeah, that's the bosses. That's the enemies and the bosses. So I'm happy to also say that I've only crashed 3 times. I played this on my Xbox Series S on the remastered Game of the Year edition. And unlike the Dead Rising series where I crashed immensely, and Dead Island where I also crashed several times, I only crashed 3 times. They were kind of annoying crashes. There's not really many frame drops I didn't experience. The technical problems were all fine. I didn't experience no pop-in, which is good for however old game this is. I know the remaster came out in like 2016, I want to say, but the original game came out in 2019, or not 2019. The original game came out in 2009. The remaster definitely added good things, like the minimap. I enjoy. The minimap fucking sucks. I take that back 100%. The minimap glitches out so many times, and it'll just like stay there. And I'll put a clip in. It'll just like, it is just awful. I definitely I don't enjoy the compass, because the compass is just as shitty too. It doesn't tell you anything. As something I do like in games when they do add these in is FOV sliders. It definitely hurted my brain trying to play anything at 70 FOV, which is an awful experience that I do not recommend anyone play. I don't know how, 12-year-old me played through 15 hours of Black Ops 2 on the original Xbox 360. I don't know how 12-year-old me played 4 days on BO2 on the original 360 with no FOV slider. I must have had no. But that is all about the gameplay and the technical problems. So, the game is great. I probably did a very shitty job of explaining how good this game is. I absolutely love it. The characters, everything about this game. Absolutely 10 out of 10. Just kidding. It's not 10 out of 10. I don't think anything's perfect. I'd obviously give it an 8.5, 9. But, yeah, if that's all you wanted, you don't want to hear about any spoilers, that's the review. Subscribe. Comment on what I should talk about next. But if you don't give a shit about spoilers, I mean, this game is it's over 10 years old. So if you don't care, let's continue about the story, which is it's shitty. The story begins with a story. Marcus, a character that we will meet later, tells us about vault hunters, people who hunt vaults. Yes, that is a sentence that I wrote in this script. He says the vaults have a shit ton of treasure in it. It makes people rich as shit, so lots of people want it. And that's us. We meet our playable characters, Mordecai, Lilith, Roland, and Brick, in the coolest cutscene I've ever seen. After choosing Brick because he is the coolest, some blue lady cosplaying as Cortana starts talking to us. She is much more important in the other games, but for now, just know she exists. So, we get off of the bus, and we are officially on our way. After getting off the bus, we meet the best character in the whole series, Claptrap. Claptrap says some bullshit, and he takes us to a little town called Firestone, where no one lives, except the totally real doctor, Dr. Zed. But before we get there, we have to fight through some of the bandit guys. Once making it to Zed, he gives us some pretty dumb main quests, in quotation marks, like kill the dog things, fix this machine, meet the second best character, TK Baja, who in fact gives you more shitty side quests. Once completing those interesting tasks, now we have to meet Scooter and get a car. He tells us the thing that spawns in the cars were stolen by Bonehead. We go kill Bonehead, but not after dying 15 times, and we take the spawner thing. Scooter has us do some pretty dumb shit with the car, and we return to Zed, and he gives us our first real story mission. Yes, all of that before was in fact a part of the story. The first real quest that we are given is to meet Shep Sanders, where he says there's a bad guy over there, and we should go kill him. To get over to that guy first, we need to find a key. So we fight through more guys, kill them, along with a few deaths on the way. We get the key, and we finally talk to Sledge. After talking to Sledge, we make our way to kill him. Why? Because killing people is just fun. After killing all of Sledge's guys again, we make it to Sledge and kill him. Well, after, of course, a few more deaths. Once we are on our way back to Firestone, some random lady general starts talking to us about something I really don't know. After that, we need to try to make our way to a new town called New Haven, so we can meet all of the other characters. But first, we need to complete more tasks, like blow up some cars, kill some guys over here, fight this Mad Max guy in a car, but if you get out of the car instantly kills you, and it makes it really stupidly hard, and I die a fucking shit ton more times. But after doing all that, we finally make it to New Haven. After making it to New Haven, the people in the town tell us we need to go talk to some scientist lady named Patricia Tanis. We go to Tanis, and she gives us more side quests to do. After her quests, we go to meet some random hobo named Crazy Earl. He gives us, in fact, you guessed it, more quests to do. Like finding alcohol. And killing that guy over there. Because guess what? He just shot Claptrap. And no one messes with our guy Claptrap. So, we kill him and steal his vault key. And take it back to Tanis. After completing that, we have to go lower some bridges or some shit to kill another guy. This is no man, but a beast. Some giant thing that shoots out the flying things. I don't know how to describe it any better. There's the image of it. You can interpret it however you want. But after killing the beast, we steal the vault key and we continue the story. We then find out that some bad military men stole Claptrap. So before we do anything else, we have to go rescue him. Once saving Claptrap, we go and get the final piece. Tanis told us to go kill Baron Flint, who has the final piece of the vault key. And oh my god, just kidding. It's not here. Turns out Tanis betrayed us and gave the key to the lady before. What a bitch. We go back to the bad guy's lair and saves Tanis. She says sorry, and we forgive her, but then we continue towards the vault. The bad guy lady is talking about how she's gonna be rich or some shit, but immediately dies to the vault monster. Yes, the vault isn't treasure, but it's a monster. A monster from a different world, who was trapped inside the vault, but we just unleashed it. This is the destroyer, and it's dead. It died. Already. It didn't even move. It can't move. That's the final boss of the whole game. That's what we fought for. I don't have any more words than that. That's how the game ends. So yes, that is the story of Borderlands 1. Fuck. So yes, that is the story of Borderlands 1. It wasn't very good, but the gameplay, perfect. But once completing the story, you unlock playthrough 2, which, you've guessed it, unlocks the second playthrough. But once completing the story, you unlock playthrough 2, which again allows you to play through the story again at a higher level to reach the max level of 69. Nice. But, of course, just like with every other popular game, DLC was also added. And I won't go into depth about the stories of the DLC. The Claptrap DLC is great. The Nox DLC is great. The zombie one is alright. It has some good funny moments in it. But the one thing I really, really want to talk about is the Mad Moxie's Thunderdome. You see, in the story of General Knox, you meet this character, Mad Moxie, who is the mother of Scooter, and her DLC is utter trash. I absolutely hate this DLC because it's a horde mode, basically. It's a horde mode. Every other horde mode, it's the same. But it doesn't give you XP when you kill guys, so it's kind of just a waste of time. There's no reason to do it, and they take forever to complete one map. I did it I played like 15 minutes of it. I said, this is stupid, and I don't want to play anymore. So that's shitty. The best parts about Claptrap and the Nox DLCs are obviously the loot farm spots, because that's where you get all the good loot. There's not really any other farming spots other than those two locations. So shout out to that. Shout out to Borderlands 1 for being an okay game. I definitely thought the story was better than what it was when I played it the first time. And now we're just on to Borderlands 2, which will hopefully not take a month hopefully will not take a month for me to make. And I had this idea. You see, back in the day, whenever I only did movies, I made a video ranking all of the MCU movies because I really wanted to watch them all again. And I did that in October. And I said the Phase 2 video would come out, that weekend. And it's May now, and that video has not been made, or I haven't even worked on that video. So I think I want to do that video again. Let me know in the comments if anyone's watched this far. Shout out to you if you watched this far, but let me know if you like the movie reviews or if I should just scrap them. But I kind of want to do the movies again. I kind of want to get back to that. So shout out to you if you watched this far in the video. This is a shorter one because the story was not much to talk about. But I hope everyone has a great day. Press the subscribe button if you would like to do that. That would be helpful. I would appreciate that. Or the like button. Or do both. That shout out to you if you do both. But I kind of don't have anything else to say, so goodbye. Stop recording.